Good evening, everyone. Thank you again so much for tuning in. This is the Realdealfam Network, and I am Andre, and this is my beautiful wife, Issa.
How you doing? I already got my sign up. Blah, 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 blah.
The boss. Welcome again. We thank y'all so much for tuning in. The support has been absolutely wonderful. If you could, or if you have not yet, if you could you please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you can get the videos hot as they come in.
We see y'all watching our videos. Just push the subscribe button. It's right down there.
Help a brother out.
So you can get more content.
Please, we'll highly appreciate it. Thank you so much. With all that being said, we're going to dive right in. Tonight, the video is basically about imposters, fake, and shady folk.
Yes, and last time we talked about this, we told you we'll tell you what the boule is. But this time, we're going to tell you.
Yeah, and typically what they are is individuals who pose as someone who's really supportive and have your back, and then later on you find out, oh man, they set me up real good on that.
Everybody's had a friend like that. You thought it was a friend, a close friend. You tell all your secrets to, and then lo and behold, you get to school or get to work or whatever. Everybody know your business. Like what? Yeah, they was the booty. Okay.
Yeah, they like low-key agents. Like they come around, they get in the clique, everybody be like, oh yeah, man, that dude there, he all right. We let him in. Mm-hmm. And then later on you find out you done left your house, they done been all through your house.
Yeah, they the setup. They set you up. You're the mark, and they set you up and then take you out.
Right.
So we're going to pause for the cause. We're going to show you a little video that has more historical information on it, just to give you a, more of an in-depth look at what the boule is. It sounds like it's not true, but in fact, it's real deal. These are they whom the Lord commanded to divide the inheritance to the children of Israel in the land of Canaan. Numbers 34:29.
Just like Grandma told you back in the day, you got to read that Bible.
And she was talking about people like this.
Like Jay-Z and individuals such as himself who claim to be a hip-hop man, but got prison bracelets. Investments.
And Sean John, who allegedly cheats his artists out of money.
And Al Sharpton, who always popping up when somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, these people are allegedly the boule. And most recently, you have people like Oprah Winfrey,
who 50 Cent came after for always going after black men that look just like us, and bypassing her good friend Harvey Weinstein,
who was recently convicted of rape allegations. So you might say, what's this all about? Why do we even care about the boule? Well, you should care about the boule because
you have an inheritance. An inheritance is something that travels down bloodlines.
Yes, and the inheritance has to do with slavery days, and also specifically the Freedmen's Bank, which was a savings developed for ex-slaves and freedmen, as well as incorporating their lands.
And from that, you develop the Federal Reserve, which is known today.
Yeah, from stolen properties. Okay, not only that, but also Black Wall Street, which you've been hearing about, who was robbed.
Back in Oklahoma. And the Federal Reserve was basically constructed of 4 different companies, which are known as the Four Horsemen.
Among these companies are all the banking companies mostly, as well as a lot of the gas and oil companies.
A lot of the ones that was involved in the collapse of 2008.
So here comes Marcus Garvey.
Yes, a brother who tried to help everybody get out of here.
And then they instilled W. Du Bois,
which was the initial beginning of the Boule.
And the Talented 10th, which the plan of the Talented 10th was to take the top 10% of the African American community and instill them into clubs so that they would be integrated into white society. And they were supposed to come back and give back to the community. But as you can see from many of our communities, that has yet to happen. Republican trickle down.
First phase of trickle down economics.
Marcus Garvey said, he can't blame whites that contributed to his conviction, but he does blame the malicious Negroes who helped to convict him and worked with those white people and helped take a lot of the wealth out of the neighborhood. So what does that mean? How can you tell who the Boule is?
They're the pick Negroes.
Judge them by their works only. Not just what they say, but what they do.
Do they rep their people?
What'd you think about that, honey?
I think a lot of us, we've all lived long enough to know that you're not supposed to trust everything and put all your faith in a regular man, because you know what he about. He gonna be getting into something. If it could be got into, he gonna do it. But people that supposed to represent your community, or just like a politician who's supposed to be you, his constituency, and they supposed to represent you and the people in your particular community, and then you find out they're more selfish. They all they is concerned about is their own well-being.
Well, I mean, people always think that's politicians anyway. Politicians or people that are supposed to be fighting for you, they just want to know the easiest way out, or they're really not working for you, and they think that's all politicians. So what's the difference?
The difference is when it's almost like somebody in your community, like family. And when you let somebody, that's like somebody being inside your house, being around your family, around your kids and stuff, and you give them, you know what I'm saying? They get that little extra oomph of trust. And then
let your guard down.
Yeah, and so you be like, okay, I could really rock with these people. I understand them, they understand me, and we good folk like that. And then you turn around and see that no, it wasn't really like that. Mm-hmm. So politicians epitomize that, I guess, in a sense, because recently in this particular candidacy or this campaign here for presidency this year, you had candidates like Kamala Harris, who came out, and she was supposed to be, I guess, in one of the sororities and stuff, so she was really doing her sister girl thing, trying to get down with it.
Well, before that, the whole thing about reparations has come out, about all the candidates have to say what they're going to do for reparations. And prior to this, reparations, I ain't never heard nobody talking about no reparations. Like, what's going on? Well, why are they talking about reparations? Okay, that's for another video. We'll tell you about that. But right now we're talking about the Boule and people who they say they're for you and not really for you. So right now we're talking about Kamala Harris's campaign.
Right, in her campaign, she professed, to be from the community. I think she's one of her parents is Jamaican and one of her parents is from India, and I think somebody came up and asked her a very specific question. Kamala, what are you planning on doing specifically for the African American community? And she said she ain't planning on doing nothing specific. So that busted everybody's little bubble.
Well, she said she wanted an economic plan that was going to serve low income or lower income people who made under $100,000 or something. But she was like, well, what specifically are you going to do for African Americans? And then she told him flat out, she ain't got no plan. She ain't doing nothing specifically for African Americans.
Right. To my understanding, I think the plan was a more inclusive plan, where it was supposed to incorporate other people, not specifically African Americans, and what it was going to do is kind of trickle down and kind of help African Americans somewhere down the line, but it wasn't specific to that particular demographic. So again, that's why I say they typically represent what we're talking about. People who pretend to be something and then you find out they're not. You might even have a family member like that you was rocking with and you thought everything was gravy, and like I said, then it end up switching out on you and putting you in a bad position.
Kamala also had a long-standing history of locking specifically African American men up, but being harsher on their sentences than a person of a different race that committed the similar crime. So, she was part of the system that is locking up, more than 40% of African American men, for long stints.
I think she was a former attorney general or something like that in California, and she was accused of putting some real tough truancy laws in action over there in California that had a lot of mothers get arrested for their kids missing a certain amount of days of school. And I think there's a particular case where somebody got arrested. The police came to their house and arrested them, but the child was sick and the school was aware that the child would be missing a certain amount of days of school due to medical treatment, but that wasn't taken into account, and so the lady went to jail anyway. But those type things, if you're going to say you're for a community or you represent something, you need to do it. You need to be behind it. And that's what I guess this whole concept of the boule is like people who come out and pretend to have your back, pretend to be from the community, and they may even be from the community, but they be in a position to make sure they take care of themselves while sometimes you get rolled under the bus.
Right. It's their paid to play, basically. Paid to play, allegedly. We're going to say allegedly. But you know what it is. You paid to play. You're supposed to be taking care of this crowd or a large number of people, make sure they stay in line. And this is what you're going to do if you want to stay in power. So the other candidate that we had that was,
Cory Booker.
Suspect.
Cory Booker. I don't think he was as what should I say, as out there like Kamala. I think
he didn't have any plan. If you know that's on the black people's agenda, what is the what's your plan for reparations? Not even necessarily reparations. What's your plan of action to get African Americans back in the game? We want some economic development plan. We want some social programs to help in education, and how to get housing, or the first homeowners. We want plans to help, black people get on their feet. So what you got?
Well, I think Cory Booker, like I say, he wasn't as blatant as she was, but like my wife said, he didn't have a plan.
He didn't have any plan.
I think also they asked him a similar question, and he didn't have a specific plan.
Yeah, he didn't have a plan either.
But the thing of it is, if you're gonna run for political office, especially for the highest seat in the land, you need to have some kind of integrity and say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. The other folk might not let you do it, but at least you got a plan that you want it. Like we say, Cory Booker, his plan, if he had one, it sure wasn't nothing to be excited about. But it's others similar, and it's some situations just popped up here recently where.
Well, what did you say? They say allegedly Al Sharpton is part of the boule.
The reason why they accuse Al Sharpton is because he's been in the game a long time. And every time something pops up concerning the African American community, like if somebody get shot by a police officer, or there's some kind of discrimination or anything like that, I think Al Sharpton's background is not only a reverend, but he's a lawyer as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Ring, ring, ring. Al, we need you. Get down there.
Right. So when there's a situation arise, Al is typically there, and he typically quickly tries to find a way to resolve the situation. So there's typically a settlement involved. If there's a family and somebody had got killed, they typically get it settled pretty quick. So some people suspect Al comes in and he has
Pay to play.
Right. He has forces working behind him that
keep the people at bay.
Right, to kind of make sure he he's the intermediate or the intercessory, whatever you want to call him. He's in between that particular family that just felt like they got violated and the court system and the other individuals that have certain interests.
What do you say to the fact that they say allegedly, Oprah Winfrey is part of the community?
Well, I think they say that for Oprah because Oprah had a certain connection with the community. And whatever she said, most people had a lot of respect for Oprah because Oprah was somebody we looked at and we said, well, man, she made it. You know what I'm saying? She came from the neighborhood. Oprah did her thing, and she done made it to levels that a lot of people had never reached before, especially being an African-American female.
And so that is major reason why people are so angry and why they think that Oprah has an agenda. It's not Oprah's agenda, but they think that she may be allegedly working and, a covert agent.
Right. People always tend to think if somebody's successful or there's a group of people that's successful, there's always somebody behind that's making sure everything runs smoothly. And so that's why people tend to be suspicious of somebody like Oprah and say, well, Oprah is not doing her own thing, because if she was, she wouldn't have came after the other brothers like Russell, Michael Jackson, and people like that. So they feel like somebody else has an agenda.
And it's the fact that she is not being on a level playing field. And the fact that you got people like Harvey Weinstein and Gail's ex co-host, what was his name?
Charlie Rose.
Yeah, Charlie Rose. They don't talk about them at all. So you have to think, what's going on here?
Well, I think it's very simple, though. And that's why we got 3 things that you can use to help you identify people that pretend to be kind of like on your team, but kind of shady. And the first one, do these people have a history of lying?
Well, how can you tell if they're lying? If they say they're supposed to be doing things for you or for the community, and they just simply don't get done.
That is very true. That's a very simple way. And everybody got people they've been around. It's like, you lying, stop lying.
Yeah,
so
our first black president. What did he do for the community? I mean, that hurt my heart to say that, but you got, that's why they mad at President Obama. They mad at the man. Because they say he didn't do anything specifically for African Americans, and he was the first African American president.
Well, typically you'll leave a track record behind, so he's more than welcome to come out and defend himself to the African American community. I mean, I'm sure he could run on a platform that he said he put together health care that had never been done before. So other stuff though, but a lot of people got a lot of criticism for the brother.
No, we're saying specifically for the African American community. That wasn't just for us. That helped a lot of other people as well.
He told you just like Kamala did. He ain't doing nothing specific.
Well, that's the issue. And now you're in a race with the Democratic Party. We're just giving you the word on the street. These are the things that are in the community, what people are talking about, why these topics are being thrown out, why these candidates didn't get picked, and why black people are telling you, we ain't voting for this, or we ain't voting for that, or we're doing this and that. Okay, this is what's going on if you didn't know. Okay, so black people are kind of, letting President Obama have it because he didn't do nothing specifically for black people when he had 2 terms and he was elected by black folks. And now the Democratic Party is mad at black folks. What did what's his name say?
Who?
Clinton's old campaign guy.
Oh, he was calling a situation where I guess he felt like he's a former campaign manager for Clinton, and he worked for he worked for the Democratic Party for a while. And I guess they've been having some struggles with getting the African American support for the candidates.
They got us excited to get out the vote.
Yeah, so he made a statement like I think it was something of the nature that all you got to do is get out there and go to the black church and do some other things. And he said
shucking and jiving in the black church.
And he said that the blacks in the South were gonna pull it out for him. So
yeah, all this shenanigans or something he said. I mean, that just goes to show you that they don't listen to your issues. They just want your vote. So You got to use and take your vote smartly and wisely, and then you choose the best candidate for yourself that's going to do something for you. And, you know, it might not be a Democrat or Republican, but you got to choose the best candidate.
Yeah, there's a certain level of sophistication that's going to have to be exercised when you're choosing the candidate. There's a lot of different elements that go into it. So you just can't, just like we saying with the people that my wife like to term boule, they appear to be a certain way, but they may not be. So the second thing to help you identify them is, are they opportunists? And most of the time when you see a politician, it's only during campaign season. Outside of that, you never see them.
Not all.
Most of the time. I can't never overgeneralize and say everybody, but most of the time that's what you run into. And the reason you said this works perfect with, you brought up Al Sharpton. That's one of the things that make people a little bit suspicious of him, because like they said, they think he's an opportunist.
Yeah, well, the old folks say that, you know, he's put in his time and his service. He was back with Martin Luther King and then
the brother
and Jesse Jackson and stuff. So he's you know, served his time. He should get paid for the things he does. But that doesn't have anything to do with undermining a community. When an incident happens, you are, you know, allegedly paid to go tell everybody, all right, it's handled now. You can get lost and go sit down somewhere. In so many words.
Yeah, to keep everybody calm and sleep. I think the third thing is you got to have, if the people don't show any integrity, that typically is a big red flag that person there should be suspect. And integrity is knowing that you from a community and you know this, whatever you doing is not for them, it can hurt them. And the only reason you doing it is for personal gain. Integrity would tell you, no, that ain't right. Them my folk, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather not have none if I got to do that.
I mean, even Jesus had a Judas. So what you gonna do? You just have to be aware, you know, just like Jesus.
That's all.
Jesus saw, he told him he was gonna cross him and stuff. So I mean, you just have to be aware.
Yeah, these are basically common things that everybody deal with in life. And so the boule it could be anybody in your surroundings. So you just need to be aware. Everybody ain't got your best interest. And how you deal with them when you find out they're around. What we say, the first thing to do is you let them know that they lying. So you know you're lying, right? So you just let them know that right off top.
Yeah, and then you just don't have to deal with them or associate with
Cut
them.
them
Whatever
off.
They're doing, you don't have to support it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to vote for it. And then you work on getting a candidate that's going to serve your needs in your community.
That's it. That's the key. So everybody just keep their eyes peeled. Don't take everything at face value. Don't give anybody the benefit of the doubt. Everybody has got to be held accountable and show you right.
Show by works.
That's it. And even if they got like a little history, they still could be suspects. So keep an eye on them. Sometimes they'll throw you a little something to make you think it's all good, and then you find out no, later on they true identity pop up. So. For the community, y'all just stay wise, keep your eyes open, and everything will work out just fine. Oh, Lord, wife skeptic. But again, we thank y'all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you could, hit that subscribe button. Also, leave comments. Everybody want to be edified. You got some information that can help somebody else, we'll be highly appreciative, and we will read it and respond. Thank you again so much. Good night.
Good night.